I remember waking up one morning, there was a snake on the roof of the tent, and the two of us were absolutely petrified. We spent about an hour trying to work out what we were going to do. I looked up at one point and realised I was quite a long way out from the shore. So I put my head down, swam, felt like for 20 minutes, looked up, I was further away.
Oh no.
Had a lot of beer, came back, I lay my head down on the pillow in my sleeping bag, woke up 40 minutes later, ants, head to toe covered in ants in my mouth, in my nose. I was sleeping on an anthill.
Welcome to Roots from LNER. Clear your inbox or think outside the box. On LNER, it's freedom all the way. Hello there. Now, today on the show, I'm joined by a guest who quite literally has done it all. He's an actor, a comedian, a presenter, an author. You may recognise him from Green Wing, Adrian Mole, Alan Partridge, The Split. I mean, I could go on. Postman Pat, Fortune Hotel. All these amazing shows. It is the one and only Stephen Mangan. Hello there.
Hello. Postman Pat always makes me laugh.
I remember I took my daughter to the premiere of that.
Did you?
Yeah, she was only little.
Yeah, and my now 15-year-old would have been little. And because there was a guy dressed as Postman Pat wandering around with a
Wasn't
big...
you?
Yeah, and he was like, no, you're not Postman Pat, because that's Postman Pat. So I lost all credit. I thought I'd get a lot of kudos from my children, but it all went in that moment when the real Postman Pat was wandering around.
I think that was my little girl's first film at the cinema.
Ah.
Yeah, it was magical for her.
Oh,
There you
good.
go. There, so you see, you appeal to all ages, Stephen.
What can I say?
Thank you for joining me here. As you can see, we're actually on our way. We're not going to Harrogate. We're going to Nottingham, but we're going via Grantham.
All right, good.
And it will all become apparent during this episode.
I see. Okay.
When you will explain it.
I don't think I've ever been to Grantham. Well, I must have gone through it. Birthplace of Margaret Thatcher, of course. She would have been 100 recently. So, yeah, that's all I know about Grantham.
Oh, you'd be good in a pub quiz, wouldn't you?
I love a pub quiz.
I can see there's going to be a lot we're going to get out of this today. Well, look, thank you for joining me in here. On this, we like to chat about lots of routes that you've taken, the journey you've had to get to where you are. And so we're going to go back and start early days when you were younger, because you spent a lot of time growing up going on holiday to Ireland, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Why was that?
My parents are Irish. My parents came over in the 60s, moved to London. My dad was one of 9. My mum was one of 7.
Oh.
So that's 16 people in that generation. And my mum, my dad's brothers and sisters, all 16 of them ended up in the UK.
So if you come down a level then to your kind of generation,
Yeah.
how many of you are there?
52 first cousins I have.
Do you remember? You could remember all their birthdays?
I don't remember all their names. I mean, my uncle Val, bless him, who's called Val because he was born on the 14th of February, my mum's younger brother. He was divorced with 2 children at the age of 19. So he really went for it, Val, and he had lots of other... So there's a few... I'm a bit hazy on some of his kids, but most of them I know and know really well and get on with. But there was a lot of us. And my mum's grandparents died young, but my dad's grandparents were still alive when we were young and living in the west coast of Ireland, County Mayo. And my mum and my dad were from villages 2 miles apart. So both from exactly the same part of the world. Came to London. All the men, all my dad and all his brothers and all my mum's brothers all worked on building sites. I mean, a really common story, really, from people from Ireland from that time. Moved to Willesden or Kilburn in London. My mum's family all moved to the south coast because my grandfather had been a seasonal navvy, worked on the building sites and would come over for 9 months of the year, go home, see his family for 3 months, come back again. So, they're all from a very similar background. So we would we'd go back to the west coast of Ireland, got a lot of visiting relatives, a lot of me age 6 and 7 sitting in little cottages with someone who was related to my parents somehow, no idea, listening to people. I couldn't understand a word anyone said. Their accent was so strong.
So you didn't pick up the Irish accent at all?
No.
Okay. And how many siblings have you got?
I've got 2 younger sisters.
Okay, so then when you would be going back, driving back?
Yeah.
And then ferry?
I mean, there was now we go back via Knock International Airport, but then there was only one way to go back, and that was to drive. You drive to Liverpool, 4-hour drive, 5-hour drive from London in those days, overnight ferry from Liverpool to Dublin, 8 or 9 hours on the ferry, arrive at the crack of dawn in Dublin, 6.5 hours from Dublin to the west coast. So it took a day and a half, and it felt like you were traveling to the other side of the world. Because, I mean, it takes a day and a half to get to Australia quicker. We'd always stop in Longford, which is right in the middle of Ireland. And the same thing would happen. We'd get there. Are you serving lunch? No, lunch is finished. I mean, this happened every year. I don't know why we didn't make any other plans. But it was, once you got there, it was great.
Why is it that in all these little remote places, they're missing a trick? Just extend the lunch hour.
Lunch is between 1 and 1:45. If you get there at 1:46, there is nothing for you. A sandwich? Nope. You know, maybe a biscuit from a packet of hobnobs with a cup of tea, but that was it. So then you go across the road to the supermarket and nibble on a hunk of cheese for the rest of the journey. But yeah, lots of car journeys, lots of me feeling sick in the back. You know, three of us were all very similar age. My Anita, my sister, who I now work with, we do children's books together. She's a year younger, and Lisa was 2 years younger than that. Lisa Marie, named after Elvis's daughter. Mum was a big fan. But yeah, the three of us in the back of the car, either arguing. I mean, now I have children, and you hear them arguing. It's infuriating. Or we'd have a audiobook on, a cassette would be put in.
Oh, yeah, the cassettes in the car.
Cassettes, Morgana. I remember listening to Sleeping Beauty. I must have heard it 650 times. Or Stephen's looking at me, or, there'd be some argument.
The fighting in the back of the car, was that? I mean, it's relentless. It must give parents a headache.
And my dad would finally have enough, and he would just sort of, the hand would come through the two front seats.
But then you learn to just go like that, lift your legs up.
The three of us would squash up against the doors, and they'd just be hitting, thin air. And my sisters tell the story that I was allowed, because I was the only boy in an Irish family. I was the eldest. Apparently I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. Everything was about me, and they had to fit in around me. I mean, that's pushing the truth. But their claim is that I was laid out on the back seat like some sort of prince, and they had to sit in the footwells for the whole journey. Not true. Can I just say now, not true.
Not even a little bit true.
I mean, no.
But
apparently if they wanted anything, they would get me to ask, because they reckon they'd have a much more better chance of getting it through if I was asking. But I think that's revisionist history.
Well, I mean, obviously, it can't have been too bad. If you work with Anita now as well, I mean, obviously, you don't work with Lisa Marie. Clearly, she's still not forgiving you for all this.
Lisa is, no. But yeah, Anita and I do children's books together. Our eighth book has just come out recently. So yeah, we get on very well. But I think if you'd asked us when we were 7 and 8 if we were going to work together, we'd have laughed for a month. There's just no way.
I wonder if you went back to that age and you're holidaying in Ireland, you're in the back of the car, would you have ever thought that you'd be doing what you're doing now? Is that you just knew you wanted to do that?
No, there's no way I would have thought I would be doing what I'm doing now. We didn't know any actors growing up. It wasn't. I mean, I think nowadays there's all sorts of talent shows on telly, and I think people can see themselves becoming, actors or presenters or pop stars. It just wasn't an option. I mean, it's like becoming Pope or an astronaut. It's just never going to happen. I loved acting from the age of about 7 or 8. It was my thing at school, what I was really into, what I kind of enjoyed doing most. But no. Yeah. I think possibly being a priest was, maybe. And if I'd been born 100 years ago in Ireland, that's what I would have done. I mean, I was an altar boy in North London growing up, partly because if I had to go to mass every week, it was just more fun to be up on stage than sitting in the audience. And I was the guy with the incense and, I had a little solo spot. But it's just more fun to be doing something rather than sitting there wishing the minutes to pass more quickly.
Yeah. Did you keep going to Ireland as you got older, or did you?
Oh, yeah. Been going since I was born. I would think there were probably maybe during COVID, but very few years where I haven't been back to Mayo. I still go back with my boys now. So we would go most summers. And, when I especially got into my teen years, and it was just much more fun being over there because we had a ready-made group of cousins. We were all about the same age. My uncle ran a pub. He also had a dance hall. So it was all happening. That's where, London, there was nothing going on. Belmullet in the west coast of Ireland. So I would often go over with the first aunt or uncle travelling back there, and then come back to London with the last one back at the end of the summer. So
just spent the whole summer there. But the thing is, it's so safe. If you think when in London is a little bit more edgy and a bit kind of like your parents would worry where you were, but back there, over there, just do what you want.
And my boys love it now. I've got 3 Well, bless him, my Uncle Michael died recently, but with three uncles living on the same street. So, they would just they would still do it, run from one house to the other. You wake up in the morning like, where's Jack gone? He's next door at Eamon's having pancakes.
I love that everyone seems to know everyone in all these villages as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's lovely. It's a lovely part of the world.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you're still going back there all the time as well.
I wouldn't, well, there's a bank holiday now in August and that we don't have here. And all my cousins who live in Ireland tend to head back. So you just know people are going to be there. And it's just, we all get on. We like each other's company. So
it's great. Well, so obviously there's, a lot of car journeys, a lot of ferry crossings, not much train chat there. And obviously, we're looking at LNER. When did you start traveling by train somewhere?
Well, at school, I went to school in Potter's Bar until I was 12 or 13, but we lived in North London. And as soon as I was able, I wanted to go by myself. So I'd go down to Winchmore Hill train station, which is on the wrong branch of two branches that head up north. So I'd have to go down. I'm trying to think where I would go to now. Is it Finsbury Park, probably? But get the overground down to Finsbury Park, wait, and then get the overground up to Potter's Bar. And it's, a journey that you could probably do in 20 minutes in a car because of the changes took about an hour. But I was travelling on my own, aged 11 or 12, and it was so exciting.
Isn't it funny how, as a child, you feel so independent when you're allowed to do your first train journey?
Yeah. It was just thrilling. And I can still, the smell when you go down, the smell of or whatever it is, diesel or rubber or tracks or I don't know, whatever it is, that smell of an outdoor train station still brings me, I'm still that 11-year-old boy with his little satchel, so excited to be. Yeah. And it was then a mile walk from the station to the school. So it was a 20-minute walk at the end. I just loved it. Even in the rain, I just loved it because it was me. Making my own way, you feel suddenly so grown up.
Yeah, even when you're freezing on a winter morning on the platform, going, oh, hurry up.
Loved it. And they're just, everything about it, looking up at the board, how long's the train going to be? Yeah, it was just thrilling. So that's probably when my train journey started. But then I suppose really it kicked in probably after A-levels. I did a sort of interrailing.
Oh, you did the interrailing. You see, all my friends that did that, I was so jealous. Where did you go?
We headed to Portugal via the west coast of France. I don't know why we went to Portugal. Speaking to my sort of teenage kids now, apparently everyone now does the same sort of route. They all go to Europe. There's various festivals in Berlin or Prague or something that they all do the same thing. But we headed out to Portugal.
We did like a surf route or something.
Well, I nearly drowned in Biarritz. That was quite exciting.
Okay.
I was sort of swimming. The waves are incredible. I looked up at one point and realised I was quite a long way out from the shore. So I put my head down, swam, felt like for 20 minutes, looked up, I was further away.
Oh no.
And then you start to panic. You think, okay. Anyway, about an hour later, it felt like I finally got in. And my friends I said, I nearly drowned. They were like, yeah, whatever. Really compassionate.
So they noticed that you'd gone?
I hadn't noticed at all. I could have been in, Iceland by that point and they wouldn't have noticed. Got to Lisbon. I remember in Lisbon we found, because you're on such a budget, and we're talking 1980s, so this is a long time ago. I remember we found a room, someone offered us a room for 50p for the night. We thought that was a bit much, we could do better. And we did do better. We found a room for 30p, but it was basically when we got to this guy's house, it was his sort of compacted earth front garden. And there was a corrugated shelter put up, and we were basically sleeping out in the open on hard ground.
But it was only 30p.
It was only 30p. I found a little natural mound on the floor, a pillow. We went out, had a lot of beer, came back. I lay my head down on the pillow, the sort of mound, in my sleeping bag. Woke up 40 minutes later, ants, head to toe covered in ants in my mouth, in my nose. I was sleeping on an anthill. But still, it was only 30p.
I would have argued, ask my money back. It's extreme. Oh, wow.
It was horrendous, yeah.
Well, at least you've had these experiences. This is the thing. It doesn't really matter. All these stories you will never forget.
Never forget. We then went across. We ended up in Nice, ran out of money. We slept on the beach for a week, a pebble beach. They would come on with cattle prods and high-pressure hoses every morning about 4 a.m. to wash us off. You sleep in a circle with all your rucksacks in the middle because you didn't want anyone to steal it. I woke up one night and there was a guy hand on my rucksack, about to nick it. Yeah, all these things. Of course, if my children wanted to do that, I'd be horrified.
And I was thinking, if you're just tuning in and your children are about to go interrailing, I'd like to say that this doesn't always happen.
This doesn't happen now. I mean, I think, we obviously had no cash, so we were really doing it on the cheap.
Yeah. So from my understanding, you've been on some quite epic train journeys. Am I right in saying there was one that was 33 hours?
Yes. I mean, not long. When did I do that? That would have been the following summer. I worked in a fledgling mobile phone company. This is back when phones were the size of small houses, under the arches in Kilburn, and then saved enough money to go to the States with my cousin for a few months. And we, again, ran out of money in about 4 weeks, and started, we hitchhiked to Arizona to stay with a school friend of his mum. We lived in her garage. I put an advert in the local paper saying I'd tutor maths because I'd done double maths A-level. And so I ended up teaching kids maths. My cousin had an American. But anyway, we got a lift up to Denver with a 90-year-old woman. This is sort of things that happen when you run out of money. You just end up meeting these people. Are you going to Denver? Okay, we'll come with you. But then got a train from Denver to San Francisco. And It was one of the most fantastic journeys of my life. Because, it was something like 33 hours. For the first part, you're traveling through the Rockies.
Oh, wow.
From Denver. Then you end up in the Salt Lakes, and through Utah, stopping at Salt Lake City at sort of 11 at night. I remember it was a full moon. It looked like you were on the moon. This incredible, bizarre landscape. And then in the morning, you're coming into Reno and the Sierra Nevada, and then to San Francisco. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Wonderful journey.
That's a long train journey.
Yeah, long journey.
Obviously, it's not like a cruise ship. You don't get off and explore in the cities when you get there. But what is it like being on a train in the States going across the land like that?
It was great. I mean, it was a double-decker train. So there was lots of, you did wander up and down the train quite a lot because you just got so restless. And I was only 18 or something. But yeah, I think just our face out the window because the landscape was just so stunning.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. It's still one of my favourite things to do on a train is just stare out the window with my mouth open.
You do see some incredible things.
Yeah.
Thing is, as well, all these amazing things you've done, it would be presumably at a time where you've not got your mobile on you, you're not emailing home. So your parents are constantly wondering, or your family is constantly wondering, where are they? What are they doing? And there's not really much opportunity to check in.
No, you might say, I'll try and phone you in the next week, but good on them. I suppose they left home at 15 and moved to another country. So for them, it probably wasn't that unusual that aged 18, I was out on the other side of the world doing my own thing and maybe not, nowadays, I think we're so used to constant contact. The idea of my children being out of contact for 3 days is just horrendous. I mean, you'd be down there in a helicopter searching for them, But talking of Margaret Thatcher, she got re-elected, I think, in 1987. I didn't hear for 4 days because we were somewhere, I think we were in Yosemite or something, and you didn't have that contact.
Just
with the world.
completely switched off.
Yeah.
What did you do when you got to San Francisco?
We ended up going 2 hours north to Sonoma County, which is still, I think, one of the most beautiful parts of the world I've ever been to. Ended up working on a horse ranch.
Oh my God, you've done so many random things.
We lived in tents. We stayed with a cousin because my cousin John, his dad is my uncle Paddy, but he married an American called Mary, and she had a cousin who was living in the woods, but no room in the house. So we stayed in a tent. I remember waking up one morning, there was a snake on the roof of the tent. And the two of us were absolutely petrified because obviously, we lived in London. We had no real knowledge of tents. We spent about an hour trying to work out what we were going to do. We thought we'd hit it and try and knock it away. So we smacked it. It went straight up in the air, landed back on the top of the tent. Eventually, we decided that John was going to hold open the tent doors and I was going to dive out and see what was up there. So he did. 1, 2, 3. I ran, dived out the door, looked at it was a piece of rope.
The stress.
It was a piece of rope. Two absolute city boys. But it was a really beautiful part of the world. And I have been back there a few times. I think it's, there are few places as gorgeous as that. The redwood trees, the cliffs, wonderful.
God, you've done a lot of traveling. I mean, there's a lot you've done, you know, from working on a ranch to being a maths tutor, and also all the shows you've done. It is the only thing you haven't done. Earlier, you mentioned like pop music. You haven't, as far as I'm aware, released a single yet, have
No,
you? No. Okay, maybe that's next on the
oh my
list.
God, that's what the world needs.
You're back as well for Landscape Artist of the Year, 11th series, really. Wow.
Yes, I know. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's back on Sky Arts this January, and it takes you all over the UK as
Yeah.
well. I mean, when you are traveling for that, do you get notice far in advance of where you're going to go?
Yeah, we do. And it's always a very exciting moment when you hear what the plans are. They try to mix it up. So you go to maybe some more industrial kind of looking places or some inner city. I mean, this year we're at Buckingham Palace in St James's Park. We're in the Lake District up at Derwent Water, and we're in Wales. But, you know, we're up in the Falkirk Wheel in Scotland. But we travel the country by train, I should add. We always go by train. And I love it. We normally film 2 programs in each general area. So I always ask to go up early the day before. So we normally film on a Wednesday and Thursday. I'll ask to go up to get there by lunchtime on the Tuesday so that I can go running and
Of course.
and have a look at the it's just such a great way to, you know, see where you are. So yeah, that's what I do. And I love that. I look forward to that every year.
That's the thing. I mean, there are so many stunning places to go for a run. We've talked about running quite a lot before.
We talked about learning a lot. Do you know what? We went to Bristol last year for Landscape Artist, and I filmed a show called Dirk Gently there for the BBC maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago. And there was one particular run along the Avon out towards the sea that when I found we were going to Bristol, I was so excited to be able to go and do that run again. And it didn't disappoint. It was fantastic. But yeah, that's, to me, I enjoy running, and it's a great way to see where you are,
I know, I completely agree. And there's something about getting to travel so many amazing parts of the UK that, to be honest, most of us don't get that much time to spend in those areas. So if you are going there and you can go a bit earlier and get out and explore, running, walking, whatever you're going to do, it is a great way to familiarise with it a bit more.
Fantastic. We went to Haywards Heath for this series and filmed at the viaduct. There's an incredible Victorian viaduct with the train to Brighton going across it every sort of 10 or 15 minutes. Stunning. Not a place I would have ever spent a whole day just looking at this viaduct. But yeah, we do that, and I've been really fortunate. We go and see. Yeah, there are very few bits of the country now that we haven't been to film in, but there's still always, of course, more to come.
But it's also surprising how many places that you think you know, and then you realise there's a whole area that you hadn't been aware of before as well.
Or you end up, I go take the boys surfing sometimes in the north coast of Cornwall, but we went down to the Eden Project a few series ago for Landscape Artist, and there's a whole other bit of, just a few miles from where I've been going so often.
That's quite hilly to run round there.
Oh, that whole Southwest Path is amazing, but so hard because you're constantly running down to bays. You go around the bays, and then up to the next bluff. It's fantastic, but wow, tough.
Yeah, it's just a really lovely opportunity to get to go and see the country when you're doing a show like this. Clearly, I'm amazed you have time to go down a day earlier because you are so busy. But when you do go and you're on the train, what kind of passenger are you? Is it like just a moment where you can sigh relief because there's nothing you can do apart from just sit there?
No, I wish I was like that. No, I am busy. I've got the laptop, and normally I'm just going through emails. It depends where I am. I write children's books, so it depends what stage the book is at. I may have to look at, be editing the book. So yeah, I plug my laptop in and I put some music on and I get to work. And the longer the train journey, the better. If we're going down to Plymouth or we're going up to Falkirk as we did this year, and I know I'm in there for a few hours. I love it.
Yeah.
But what's not to like? There's people bringing, there's food walking past every now and again. There's a seat. There's a great ever shifting scenery outside the window.
You don't even have to get up towards your food. You can use the QR code. You can stay sitting, and
There you go.
they deliver
Yeah.
it. What happens though, Stephen, if you get like a chatty Charlie, as I like to say, and they just sit down, they're like, oh, hello, and they're lovely,
Yeah.
but they want a good old chat.
I'm quite good at saying, oh, it's really lovely to meet you. Please, it's, I've got so much to do, but let's, yeah, and then the earphones are a great device for that.
They're not even on. They're just in.
Oh yeah, just in.
That's the best way to deal with
Yeah.
it. Are you someone that likes a specific seat? Are you window? Are you table?
My family, there's two in our family, I won't name and shame them, who just cannot go backwards, and I think some people are like that. They just have to be going the way of travel. I'll sit anywhere. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I'm not bothered by the table, the window seats, whatever it is. It's all good for me.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is when you're not at the window seat and then someone needs the toilet every 10 minutes and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's annoying.
That
Same
is
on a
annoying.
plane though as well.
Yeah.
It's just really frustrating. When you go away for landscape artists, do you have a routine when you're there? Do you tend to film in the afternoons, or is
We
it?
film all day. So, each program takes one day to film. The artists have 4 hours to paint the landscape we put them in front of. So it'll be a reasonably early start. I probably have to be ready about 7:30. Do my introductory piece to camera, get them going on their challenge. And then the day is really spent. It's a lovely job for me because my job is not to know anything about art, because I don't. My job is to chat to the painters so that the people at home get a bit of an idea of what they're like, what their personalities are. It's to talk to the judges and say, what are you liking, what are you not liking, and crucially, why. And if they start getting any jargon, any art, because the thing about art, all of us have reactions to paintings, go, oh, I like that, or I don't like that. I think a lot of us feel that there's a sort of proper, the art establishment will tell you should like this, you shouldn't like that. And I think that's absolute nonsense. And sometimes it's hard. A painting we're told is a wonderful painting, you look at it and you think, really? Why? And my job is to go, why? To explain to me why that's a good painting and that one isn't. Because I think that one looks like what we're looking at, and that one looks like someone was tripped up and was sick on a canvas. So tell me why, and so that's really my whole job, is just to talk to people all day. And look at them and look at talented people being talented.
Yeah. But when you are looking at someone painting this picture and you are thinking, I just don't know what you're looking at. How easy is it for you to kind of hold it in?
Well, firstly, I've learned that paintings go through all sorts of phases, and something that can look like a dog's breakfast after an hour can turn out to be wonderful. So the question is, is it, and also you learn that every painting an artist produces doesn't turn out, sometimes they have bad days. So it's not my job to judge, because I don't really know what I'm talking about. Of course I have an opinion of stuff I like and might hang on my wall, but that's something I keep to myself, because, no one needs someone else. That's what people at home are doing. Oh, I like that one, I don't like that one. You don't need that from me as well, because I can't paint. And I would love to be able to do it. And I want to know what's going through their minds. How much are you planning? How much are you just seeing how it goes? Are you upset with what we've put you in front of? We painted, we took them down to Dover for this series. And one day we were at Dover Castle, and there it is, this massive, chunky castle to paint. The next day we were in front of Dover ferry port.
Oh, wow.
Which has ships coming in and out the whole time. So they're not staying still. It's basically a huge car park full of ever-changing rota of lorries and cars. And you're like, happy with that? Is this what you want? Yeah, so it's a treat. It's a treat for me, because I get to watch people doing things I can't do. I'm in awe.
I'm impressed that we found something that you can't do now. Wow. I bet you're okay. The thing is that you use your sister for illustrating as well.
Yeah, my sister. When I write children's books, she's a brilliant illustrator and she does all that. So
Okay.
yeah. I look at my own boys. Two of my boys really love art and are good at it, and the third one's just decided they're not good at it. And that was me. I just thought it's something I can't do, so I leave it to other people.
Fair enough. Now, on this train carriage today, we are off to Nottingham via Grantham. Okay, so why are we heading to Nottingham?
Well, Nottingham holds a very dear place in my heart. I love Nottingham because when I left drama school, I decided I only wanted to work in the theatre. I was not going to do any film and I was not going to do any television ever.
Oh, wow.
That was the plan. I wanted to be a great actor. And I thought the way you become a great actor is to play all the great parts. So you play the classics. You do Shakespeare and you do Shaw and Molière and all those Noel Coward.
Aladdin.
You'd,
No, I'm joking.
Exactly. So you do all of that stuff. Widow Twankey. And I didn't want to be like the 15th person from the right at the National or the RSC, with one line. I wanted to be involved and I wanted to. So I was prepared to go anywhere. And Nottingham, I did 3 plays at Nottingham very early on in my career. A few months after I left drama school, I went there and I did 12th Night. And then I went back a year later and did As You Like It. And then I went back a year or 2 after that and did The Tempest. I did 3 Shakespeare plays there. So again, it was like moving away from home. The first time I'd gone away from home to be an actor. And that's what you dream of, I think. Well, that's what I dreamed of when I was thinking about acting, is going to a town or a city I didn't know, living in digs, being paid to act. Can you imagine actually being paid to do this thing that you love doing? To be heading out on a Thursday morning from digs to the theatre to go and do a matinee and then an evening show. That just to me felt like the absolute dream.
Yeah.
That was all I wanted to do. And I got to do it in Nottingham. So I love Nottingham for that reason. It felt like the place I sort of made it and achieved. My dreams came true. I actually got paid to be an actor.
Yeah, I mean, happy memories there
Yeah.
then. At what stage did you decide that you were going to admit defeat and allow all those other kind of elements, the
Film and
television
telly.
and all
I
that
did
sort of
5 years of theatre. My agent would ring me up saying, "We've got this audition for you for a Merchant Ivory film." Nope, thank you. We got a TV. No, I don't
Oh
want
my
to do
goodness, think of all the things you could have been in. I
Well,
imagine there were loads.
it. Maybe, but I think what I realised was that the parts you play are important. And yeah, I learned so much doing that. But it's the people you're working with. Probably you learn more off than anything. And of course, there are talented people working in the theatre, but there are also talented people working in film and television. And I realised that, I should come down off my high horse and give it a go. And I was really lucky. I fell in with Armando Iannucci almost immediately. And Chris
What was your
Morris.
first TV gig?
First TV gig was with Rob Brydon and Julia Davis. It's called Human Remains, which they played a different couple every week. And I was in one of them playing a clown in the full gear. But I did that, and I did Alan Partridge quite early on, and I Dan, exactly.
I love the fact that even to this day you can be running and someone will shout Dan.
I got it this morning getting
Did
into
you?
a cab. Yeah. I mean, there might not just be a lot of people called Dan. I just happen to be near. They're calling their friends, but yeah, it's incredible how long that.
It will never stop.
It never stop.
You'd have to probably shave your head or something like that to shake it off. And even then, I don't
God.
think it would
Even
really
then,
work.
it probably wouldn't work.
No.
There are
Still.
worse things people could shout at you.
Exactly. And then after that, when did you get Adrian Mole?
Adrian Mole was pretty soon after that. Sue Townsend, who became a friend, really good friend, and she's an absolute hero of mine. Those Adrian Mole books are incredible, and I still think how wonderful, if she'd been around now, what she would have done with Trump and Boris Johnson and Liz Truss and all the stuff that's been going on the last few years. Keir Starmer, she would have been incredible. But yeah, she was losing her eyesight when I auditioned for that.
Oh, really? That was so early.
She went in and she made it very clear that whoever played Adrian Mole couldn't be particularly good looking because Adrian Mole is a geek and a sort of, a bit of a sort of loser type, really. So we couldn't have a good looking actor play him. And she said, "Would you mind if I had a good look at your face?" And I said, "Of course." She pulled out this huge magnifying glass, came within about 4 inches of my face. She scanned me from top to bottom and then said, "Yeah, you're perfect."
You're like, "Oh, thank you." I think.
But that was exciting, to do that. And then Greenwing was a year or two after that, probably. And then I thought, yeah, this television thing is okay.
It's actually working out quite nicely for
but I'm
me.
glad I did what I did, because I was nearly 30 when I started doing television.
Yeah.
And Keira Knightley had a 28-year career by the time she was 30. Some people who start acting on screen very young, it's a whole different thing. But
you got all these other experiences beforehand.
I got all these other experiences. I got to move around the country and the world. We went on a world tour with Much Ado. We played in Moscow and we played in New York, and I had some incredible experiences. And of course, then you realise that when you have a family, it's really hard to go off for 9 months and do a world tour. So I'm glad I did it when I was younger, because it's just not possible now. I'm very happy with that. I don't, for 1 minute, regret that kind of decision to stick to theatre. I had a great time. You
still do plays, though. I mean, I saw you in Unicorn in the summer, and you still do plays. Do you have to kind of you must be, it's quite busy, and doing a play means that you have to stay in one place, which must be quite nice for you.
Yeah, I do. I think I would, if it was up to me, I would still do nothing but plays. I love them, but they are really tough on family life, because you're working 6 nights in the week. You're working all day Saturdays. You just don't see your children. So until the boys are grown up, I do a play about not more than one every a couple of years, probably.
Right.
But I still love them.
Yeah. So I just want to say a huge thank you to you, Stephen Mangan, for joining us today on Roots from LNER. Now, the 11th series of Landscape Artist of the Year is back on Sky Arts in January. And by the way, if you like what you heard today, why not rate and review? Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you give us a follow too. And look out for Stephen's Quiet Coach episode, which will drop next week. And we'll hear all about his travelling snacks, tracks and hacks, and what places have inspired and changed him. So we will see you then. Dodge the traffic and dive into a good book. When you travel by train with LNER, it's freedom all the way. Roots from LNER is a Distorted production.